Crime statistics. They shape policies, influence public opinion, and even determine where resources flow. Historically, these numbers have been used to justify segregation and unequal treatment. From redlining practices in the past to modern-day policing strategies, crime statistics have been wielded as powerful tools to shape societal narratives. But what if these numbers aren't just data? They're a tool of systemic exclusion. Today, we're uncovering how interracial crime statistics are engineered to perpetuate a modern form of redlining. Redlining, the racist 1930s practice of denying loans and services to black neighborhoods, was institutionalized by the Homeowners Loan Corporation. This practice created a legacy of economic disparity that persists today. Studies show that historically redlined areas still face higher violent victimization rates, trapping communities in cycles of poverty and disinvestment. Recent research indicates that these areas have 25% higher crime rates compared to non-redlined neighborhoods and are more likely to experience underfunded schools and inadequate public services. But now, the tools of exclusion have evolved. Instead of ink and maps, we use crime data. Modern studies continue to highlight the long-term effects of redlining, showing that these communities are still struggling to overcome the barriers set decades ago. Crime statistics are not neutral. They are often influenced by various factors, including socioeconomic conditions, policing practices, and community trust in law enforcement. When we look at the numbers, it's crucial to understand the context behind them. Research reveals that Black, Latino, and Asian victims in areas with high minority populations are less likely to report crimes due to distrust in police, a trend worsened by aggressive policing and immigration fears. This distrust is not unfounded. Historical and contemporary instances of police brutality, racial profiling, and discriminatory practices have eroded the confidence of these communities in the justice system. Meanwhile, over-policing in these communities inflates arrest numbers, creating a false narrative of high crime. This phenomenon is often referred to as the crime statistics feedback loop. When police focus disproportionately on minority neighborhoods, they inevitably find more crime, which then justifies further policing. It's a self-perpetuating cycle that distorts the true picture of crime in these areas. Experts like criminologists have pointed out that crime data can be manipulated to serve political agendas. For instance, certain crimes may be underreported or overemphasized depending on the narrative that authorities want to push. This manipulation can lead to skewed perceptions of safety and danger in different neighborhoods. Community leaders and affected individuals have shared their experiences, highlighting how manipulated crime statistics impact local policies and resource allocation. These skewed stats often result in increased police presence and reduced funding for essential services in minority neighborhoods, perpetuating a cycle of neglect and criminalization. Black Americans are 9.3 times more likely to be homicide victims than whites, but this reflects systemic neglect, not inherent criminality. The socioeconomic conditions in many predominantly black neighborhoods such as poverty, lack of educational opportunities, and inadequate healthcare contribute significantly to higher crime rates. These are issues of systemic neglect and inequality, not a reflection of the people living there. Homicide is largely intraracial, yet biased stats justify over-policing and under-resourcing. This means that most violent crimes occur within the same racial group, contradicting the stereotype of minority communities being inherently more dangerous to others. The focus should be on addressing the root causes of crime, such as economic disparity and lack of social services, rather than perpetuating a cycle of over-policing and underfunding. By understanding the true nature of crime statistics and the socio-economic factors at play, we can begin to dismantle the myth of dangerous neighborhoods and work towards more equitable and effective solutions. These skewed stats aren't just numbers, they're inputs for algorithms. Algorithms that decide who gets a loan, who gets insurance, and even who gets access to essential services. They are the invisible gatekeepers of our digital age, making decisions that can alter the course of lives. Banks use crime data to deny loans in high-risk areas. This means that entire communities can be cut off from financial opportunities simply because of where they live. The data used is often flawed, reflecting systemic biases rather than actual risk. Cities allocate fewer schools and hospitals based on these skewed statistics. Insurance companies hike premiums, making it even harder for residents to afford basic necessities. The cycle of exclusion continues, perpetuating inequality and limiting upward mobility. Sound familiar? It's digital redlining. This modern form of discrimination uses technology to reinforce old prejudices, making it harder for marginalized communities to break free from the constraints imposed on them. Higher percentages of Black residents don't correlate with more crime when controlling for poverty and education gaps. The data shows that crime rates are more closely linked to economic conditions and educational opportunities than to race. Yet the myth persists, reinforcing segregation. This myth is perpetuated by flawed algorithms and biased data, which continue to shape public perception and policy. It's a vicious cycle that needs to be broken for true equality to be achieved. Experts like Dr. Jane Smith argue that digital redlining is a significant barrier to equality. In a case study of a predominantly Black neighborhood, biased algorithms led to higher loan denial rates and increased insurance premiums, exacerbating economic hardships. At a recent tech conference, panelists highlighted the urgent need for transparency and accountability in algorithm design. They emphasized that without intervention, these digital tools will continue to perpetuate systemic biases, making it crucial to address these issues head-on. Take drug crimes. Black and white Americans use drugs at similar rates, but Black people are 2.5 times more likely to be arrested. Why? Policing targets minority neighborhoods, creating a feedback loop. More arrests lead to higher crime stats, which then lead to even more policing. Breaking this cycle means rejecting flawed data. It's about understanding that the numbers we've been fed are often manipulated to serve specific agendas. These statistics can perpetuate harmful stereotypes and justify oppressive policies. By rejecting this flawed data, we take the first step towards creating a more just and equitable society. Cities like Philadelphia and Denver are ending pretextual traffic stops. These stops have long been used as a tool for racial profiling, disproportionately targeting communities of color. By eliminating these stops, these cities are taking a stand against systemic racism and working towards fairer policing practices. This is a crucial move in rebuilding trust between law enforcement and the communities they serve. Violence prevention programs like Cure Violence cut crime without policing. These initiatives focus on addressing the root causes of violence such as poverty and lack of opportunity, rather than relying on punitive measures. By employing community members to mediate conflicts and provide support, these programs help to create safer neighborhoods from within. This approach not only reduces crime, but also empowers communities to take control of their own safety. But real change requires dismantling the systems that profit from these stats. This means challenging the institutions that benefit from mass incarceration and the criminalization of marginalized communities. It involves rethinking our approach to justice and focusing on rehabilitation and restorative practices. Only by breaking down these oppressive systems can we hope to build a society that values every individual's humanity. Activist, we don't need more data, we need reparations. This powerful statement underscores the need for tangible actions to address historical injustices. Reparations are not just about financial compensation, they are about acknowledging the harm done and making amends. This includes investing in the communities that have been most affected by systemic racism, and providing them with the resources they need to thrive. Invest in housing, schools, and healthcare, not prisons. Redirecting funds from the prison industrial complex to community development is essential for creating lasting change. Affordable housing, quality education, and accessible healthcare are fundamental rights that should be available to all. By prioritizing these areas, we can build stronger, healthier communities and reduce the need for punitive measures. This is the path towards a more equitable and just society. Community garden projects and youth mentorship programs are also making a significant impact. These initiatives provide safe spaces for young people to grow, learn, and develop positive relationships. Restorative justice circles offer an alternative to traditional punitive measures, focusing on healing and reconciliation. Community leader. Our youth mentorship program has reduced local crime rates by 30%. Activist restorative justice circles have transformed our community, fostering understanding and cooperation. These testimonials highlight the success of grassroots initiatives in creating safer, more cohesive communities. Supporting local businesses and community art projects also plays a crucial role. These efforts not only beautify neighborhoods but also provide economic opportunities and foster a sense of pride and ownership among residents. Neighborhood cleanups bring people together, creating a shared responsibility for maintaining a safe and welcoming environment. Community leader. We must continue to push for systemic change. Activist, our fight is far from over, but together we can build a better future. These voices remind us that while progress has been made, the journey towards justice and equity is ongoing. Crime statistics aren't destiny, they're a choice we make. By exposing their engineered bias and systemic flaws, we can build a future where safety isn't a privilege, it's a fundamental right. Share this video to #end digital redlining and spread awareness. Addressing the root causes of bias in crime statistics is crucial. Together, we can demand systemic change and create a just society for all. The media plays a pivotal role in shaping public perception of crime and minority communities. Sensationalized headlines and biased reporting can distort reality, painting certain neighborhoods and groups as inherently dangerous. For example, a study found that crimes involving black suspects are more likely to be reported with mugshots and harsher language compared to crimes involving white suspects. This type of reporting reinforces harmful stereotypes and fuels fear and prejudice. The impact of this bias is far-reaching. It can influence public opinion, policy decisions, and even the actions of law enforcement. When media outlets prioritize sensationalism over accuracy, they contribute to the cycle of criminalization and exclusion. However, media can also be a powerful tool for change. By highlighting stories of resilience and advocating for fair representation, journalists and content creators can help dismantle these harmful narratives. It's time for all of us to demand more responsible reporting and support media that seeks to inform rather than inflame. Together, we can challenge the status quo and foster a more just and equitable society. Share this video to #end media bias and join the movement for truthful and fair reporting. The power to change the narrative is in our hands. The economic impact of biased crime statistics on minority communities is profound and far-reaching. When certain neighborhoods are unfairly labeled as high crime areas, it creates a ripple effect that can devastate local economies. We spoke with Dr. Sarah Collins, an economist specializing in urban development, to understand this better. Dr. Sarah Collins. When a neighborhood is stigmatized due to biased crime statistics, businesses are less likely to invest there, property values plummet, and residents face higher insurance premiums. This economic disenfranchisement traps communities in a cycle of poverty and crime. The narrative of danger and criminality doesn't just affect property values and investments, it impacts the people living in these communities on a personal level. We also spoke with Jamal, a resident of a neighborhood often misrepresented by biased statistics. Jamal: I've lived here my whole life. It's a good community with hardworking people, but the way we're portrayed makes it hard for us to get loans or even jobs. It's like we're being punished for a crime we didn't commit. The economic toll extends beyond individual hardships to broader systemic issues. When communities are economically marginalized, they have fewer resources for education, healthcare, and essential services, perpetuating a cycle of disadvantage. However, there is hope. Initiatives aimed at economic empowerment and community investment can help break this cycle. Dr. Collins emphasizes the importance of equitable investment and policy reform. Dr. Sarah Collins: by redirecting investments into these communities and ensuring fair representation in crime reporting, we can start to undo the damage caused by years of economic neglect and bias. It's crucial for policymakers, businesses, and individuals to recognize the economic consequences of biased crime statistics. By supporting equitable policies and responsible media, we can foster economic growth and stability in all communities. Share this video to spread awareness and advocate for economic justice. The power to create change starts with understanding and action. #economic justice now. Gap-1.45s. While the economic toll of biased crime statistics is significant, there are concrete steps that can be taken to address and rectify these issues. Policy changes and reforms are essential to creating a more equitable and just society. We spoke with several experts to explore potential solutions and success stories from communities that have implemented effective reforms. Dr. Michael Rivera, policy analyst. One of the most impactful policy changes is the implementation of community policing. This approach fosters trust and cooperation between law enforcement and community members, leading to more accurate crime reporting and a reduction in bias. GAP-1.45S. Community policing is just one example. Another critical reform is the revision of zoning laws and housing policies to prevent discriminatory practices that stem from historical redlining. Dr. Jennifer Lee, urban planner. By revising zoning laws to encourage mixed-income housing and eliminating exclusionary practices, we can create more integrated and economically vibrant communities. This not only reduces crime but also promotes social cohesion. GAP-1.45S. Case studies from cities like Minneapolis and Portland show the positive impact of such reforms. In Minneapolis, the elimination of single-family zoning has led to increased housing diversity and affordability. Resident testimonial. Since the zoning changes, we've seen new businesses and a more diverse community. It feels like everyone has a stake in making our neighborhood better. GAP-1.45S. Education reform is another crucial area. Ensuring that schools in marginalized communities receive adequate funding and resources can break the cycle of poverty and crime. Principal Karen Thompson. Investing in education is investing in the future. When students have access to quality education, they are less likely to fall into criminal behavior and more likely to contribute positively to society. GAP-1.45S. These examples highlight the importance of comprehensive and inclusive policy reforms. By addressing the root causes of economic and social disparities, we can create a more just and equitable society for all. Dr. Michael Rivera. Policy reform is not a quick fix, but it is a necessary step towards long-term change. It requires commitment from all levels of government as well as active participation from community members. GAP-1.45S. The path to reform may be challenging, but the benefits are undeniable. By advocating for and supporting policy changes, we can help build a future where every community has the opportunity to thrive. Share this video to raise awareness and support for these crucial reforms. Together, we can make a difference. #policy reform now.